Welcome back. I'm Jessica Moore.
And I'm Christine Johnson. We begin with a busy primary night in New Jersey.
Polls closed at 8 p.m. and CBS News has already declared Jack Ciattarelli the Republican primary winner. But let's take a look at the Democratic standings. Right now, we have 28% reporting Mikie Sherrill still in the lead at 34%, followed by Stephen Fulop, Jersey City's mayor, 17.1%. The other three candidates, Ros Baraka, Stephen Spiller, and Steve Sweeney. Ros Baraka, 12.9% in that second half.
We'll be talking more about the Democratic side of the race in just a moment. But in the meantime, let's talk about the Republicans. A clear winner tonight. 17% of the vote still in. You see Jack Ciattarelli there with a commanding lead, almost 68% of the majority of the vote. Let's go to Christine Sloan. She's live at his headquarters now in Homedale to give us the latest. Christine.
Well, Christine, the excitement has been growing here at Jack Ciattarelli headquarters. There are no surprises to the folks out here. Jack Ciattarelli was leading those polls all along. He was endorsed by President Donald Trump, but all those two other candidates we spoke to today, John Bromnick, the moderate candidate, Bill Spadia, former talk show and radio host who is more conservative, both of them told me they fought hard till the last minute. So we did speak to some supporters here, a group of gentlemen who were decked out in red wearing Governor Jack Ciattarelli hats, and this is why they told me they voted for him.
I used to be a registered Democrat, 100% Democrat, and I switched over to a Republican because the Democrats are not doing anything here in New Jersey for people that look like us.
He's going to look at like trade schools, for instance, where everybody can't go to college. So therefore, give them an opportunity to go into a trade school, to get a trade, and then come back and maybe work for the municipality. Also helping them become an entrepreneur.
Jack's campaign told me that once a winner is announced, he will come out here. So we are waiting to see what Jack Ciattarelli has to say. We are live in Homedale, New Jersey. Christine Sloan, CBS News New York.
All right, thanks, Christine.
6 Democrats, as we mentioned, are running for New Jersey governor, including Mikie Sherrill, who has been in Congress since 2019.
And as of right now, she's leading the pack. CBS News is leaning towards Mikie Sherrill. Dick Brennan live at the Sherrill campaign in Morristown. Dick, have they already begun celebrating, or are they holding off for now?
They're holding off for now, and I can tell you right now, just a moment ago, people started to come into the ballroom in light of her early lead, but there's been a certain amount of caution here. Now, we can tell you that Mikie Sherrill has been ahead of every poll since, I guess it was March of 2024. She's been in the lead, but when you have 6 candidates in the race, you got to be cautious. Now, let's show you some video of her voting today in her hometown of Montclair, New Jersey. Now, she's the only woman in this race. She's the mother of 4 and very proud of it. In fact, 2 of her children are following her footsteps going to Annapolis. You know, she was a Navy helicopter pilot. We can tell you she's been in Congress since 2019. She handily won re-election. We could also say she said her motto is that she moves to the fight. The question is, did she get her message out? Early on, it looks like she may have, but we have to see. We talked to some voters today about what they think the issues are. Let's listen to that.
Crime reduction, trauma-informed care. It's important, like, to build up the morale of the community.
Economic development, this is one of the top priorities on my mind.
I wanted to make sure I voted so that my community is represented by someone who is looking out for the single moms, looking out for the elderly, making sure everybody is being presented and helped in the community.
Now, Sherrill has been cautious throughout her career and very successful seemingly at everything she does. And right now we can tell you the people here are not ready for any kind of big celebration. Just a few seconds ago, they actually put the music on. It's kind of an unusual vibe that we're getting from here, at least it's seen that I have seen at various campaign headquarters. But that could change in a few minutes with more results. We're live at Sherrill headquarters, and back to you in the studio.
Yeah, we saw that happen on the Republican side. All right, thanks so much, Dick.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the results so far. Marcia Kramer back with us, and joining us now is political analyst J.C. Polanco. Good to see you once again, J.C.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about the results more so on the Democratic side right now. Maybe we can pull up those screens that we were showing our audience before regarding some of the results. Obviously, it's a very small percentage of the vote still in, but one name that I think might surprise all of us that isn't higher on the leaders list is Mayor Ross Baraka. What are your thoughts on that, J.C.?
Well, I am surprised. You know, he's the mayor of the largest city in New Jersey, has an incredible base of support, and has become a national rock star among progressives for the last month. He's raised over $1 million in just a couple of weeks because of it. I was surprised. I thought he'd be higher up. But considering such a large pool of candidates, it may have been too late in the game for him to break through with such a...
Actually, I disagree with you. I think that what was happening in New Jersey, because I've been out in Jersey a number of times over the last several weeks, I think the voters have become more conservative, even on the Democratic side, and they were looking at Mikie Sherrill and some of the other candidates because they weren't quite as progressive as some of the other candidates.
They were looking for a more moderate candidate.
Well, you know, given what's going on in the world, I think they're looking for more moderate people.
And let's talk about the voters in New Jersey for a minute. I mean, we saw during the presidential election, Trump...
he made inroads.
He made inroads. He gained 10%, you know, of more of the votes than he did during the last election. And also, there are more registered Republicans now in the state as well.
More.
It's incredible. Listen, Donald Trump was within 6 points of picking up New Jersey. That's incredible. And remember, Latinos voted for Donald Trump in numbers we've never seen before. He even won Passaic. There were parts of Union City that were all about Donald Trump. It was incredible to see.
Also,
so you're right, Marcia. They're going to come more towards the middle.
Not only the voters are becoming more conservative, but I don't think that they felt they could identify with Kamala Harris's campaign because it was talking. She wanted to talk about democracy, and they wanted to talk about pocketbook. And we saw in the pieces that other reporters have done, people are talking about pocketbook issues, and that's why they went to Trump, and that's why they're more conservative. They want supermarket prices to go down. They want transit prices to go down. They want property taxes to go down.
Well, speaking of the president, he has made this big campaign recently, focused his campaign on saying we have got to turn New Jersey red, get him away from the terrible blue wall. He, of course, endorsed Ciattarelli, and Ciattarelli won within, what, 22 minutes of polls closing, already declaring victory. Talk to me about the impact of the president's endorsement right now.
Well, President Trump has an incredible hold on the Republican Party. His endorsement is absolute gold. If he says, I want this person, that person almost always wins a primary. And we saw it today in New Jersey. And not only that, but I think considering the 3 points that he lost by last time around, President Trump is seeing New Jersey as a viable pickup.
Ciattarelli, you mean?
This was enlightened self-interest. Jack Ciattarelli in the last campaign called Donald Trump a charlatan who didn't represent the views of New Jersey. But the reason why the president endorsed him is he was leading in the polls. It's very important to him to turn a blue state red. And here is why. It's not just he wants bragging rights, but also it's going to affect the midterm elections next November, where he can then use that to try to flip some seats in New Jersey.
But it makes me wonder, is he going to have to distance himself from the president at all in order to not be seen as a total...
Well, how do you do that, though?
I always say that you run, if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you run to your flanks, and in the general election, you have to come back in the middle. And I think you're going to have to see that happen, but, you know, it's going to be at his own peril. He can't exactly diss the president of the United States, because the president will fight back.
She's right.
Do you agree with that?
I agree with you, but listen, the Democrats were smart tonight. Congresswoman Sherrill is just the perfect candidate in a race where you want to win the middle. Navy vet, Mama 4, Congresswoman centrist, moderate. It's going to be very difficult for Ciattarelli.
Don't underestimate Ciattarelli, though, because remember a thing about New Jersey. Usually when you have a two-term governor in New Jersey in one party, then the other party out of power wins. It's gone this way since 1960.
It's a purple state.
Democratic governor now could be a Republican the next time.
And clearly history has shown that swing.
It's been going back since 1960.
This could very well.
Since you were, like, you know, in your mother's...
My birthday's coming up, June 16th. Me and Tupac.
Well, you know what? This Democratic race is still playing out. We need to see who's going to become the clear winner. But obviously, Congresswoman Mikie Sherrill in the lead right now. But we'll continue to monitor those numbers. Thank you, JC, and thank you, Marcia. We'll be seeing you again, I'm sure.
And we will have much more election coverage right after this break.
All right, more election results here on this primary night in New Jersey.
Polls closed at 8 p.m. and CBS News has already declared Jack Ciattarelli the Republican primary winner and Mikie Sherrill as the Democratic winner. Let's take a look at the Democratic standings. 31% of the vote in. Sherrill is followed by Stephen Fulop and Josh Gottheimer. Stephen Fulop, the mayor of Jersey City, Congressman Josh Gottheimer. Three other candidates in this race, if we can go to the next slide here, including Newark Mayor Ros Baraka at 13.3%. Sean Spiller at 11.8% and Steve Sweeney at 10%. But again, Mikie Sherrill has been declared the winner by CBS News on the Democratic side. On the Republican side, Jack Ciattarelli declared the winner there.
Let's go to Dick Brennan. He is live for us at Mikie Sherrill's campaign headquarters. Again, Dick, just now CBS News declaring her as tonight's primary winner for the Democratic nomination.
Yeah, Christine, you know, we can tell you there was just a little titter in the crowd. I've never seen a more reserved crowd in my life for a victory, but it's a victory nonetheless, and it's sort of buzzing through the room now. The people here, I think they're a little surprised it may have happened so quickly because of the constant thought, maybe it just got through the rest of the room right now. It was a little slow effect here at Mikie Sherrill headquarters, but clearly they're getting the word that she's been declared the victor. And one of the extraordinary life that this has been for this woman who's done so much in her life. She was a federal prosecutor. She went to Annapolis. She has a law degree. And then she's been in Congress since 2019, and she had a couple of tough rounds in the beginning, but the last two trips to Congress, the last two elections, she won rather handily. She is the mother of four. Two of those children are going to Annapolis themselves, and we've heard the story about her. She was a Navy pilot, and the commercials, we saw them almost 24/7. That was the one advantage she had in this race. She probably had more money than anybody else, and she certainly spent it well. But this was a hard-fought battle, and as we know in politics, this is only the beginning, because the next step is going to be the battle against the Republican Jack Ciattarelli. Now, what's going to happen there? Well, you can bet that Mikie Sherrill is going to tag Jack Ciattarelli with Donald Trump. Donald Trump would call Ciattarelli MAGA 100%. Does that fly in New Jersey? Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't, because let's face it, Donald Trump in 2024 November, he almost won the state, but really 6 points, which for New Jersey, that's an almost, because the idea of a Republican winning New Jersey would be pretty extraordinary. So Republicans have been telling us for months now, this is a sign that New Jersey, not going red necessarily, but moving in that direction. But on the other side, and we've heard it from Democrats here, they're saying, wait, the more Donald Trump is in office, the more Republicans are going to start saying, hey, maybe we should move away from him. That's generally the idea in general elections. Ciattarelli will probably run a little towards the middle, and on the other hand, you're going to see Mikie Sherrill hammering him with Donald Trump. Well, so far at least, we have no indication of when Mikie Sherrill may be coming out, but the idea is it would be sooner rather than later. Back to you guys.
Right. Thank you, Dick. We'll be waiting. Can't wait to hear what she says. These victories have been declared so soon.
They have been. It's been a very quick primary night, but with $85 million already spent during this primary election in the state of New Jersey in ad dollars, you can bet that things are really going to ramp up when Ciattarelli and Mikie Sherrill are going to be on that ballot here in the next few months up until Election Day. We've got much more primary coverage ahead.